Hi guys. Um, I'm just gonna say I am actually the worst with technology. I know I'm supposed to be like the young, know all the tech things. I'm not. I just went live on my regular feed instead of this feed, and then I deleted it. So anyway, I think we're here. I think we're in the group, Friends Helping Friends. So here we are. Welcome. My name's Andrea. I'm one of your hosts. I'm here with my Christmas trees. I have two Christmas trees this year. I know Kelsey said post a video or a picture, but I wanted to post a video with my Christmas tree, so here I am. Um, awesome. Well, tonight we're talking about consistency. Consistency can be really hard in the world today. The world is so inconsistent. But I saw a lot of you guys in what you want to get out of this group. A lot of you guys said you wanted to see more consistency in your devotional routine. So here are a few things I use that help me. I am by no means an expert in this, but I hope that some of these help you out. I know they have me. So one of the ideas around consistency is this idea of consistency compounding. And that's not something that I coined. That's not a phrase I coined. I think I heard it from John Maxwell. I don't know if that's who created the phrase or if it's from somebody else. But this idea of consistency compounding is that if you stay consistent at something, you will reap the benefits of it somewhere down the line. So an example of this would be with school. If you go back to school or if you go to school, if you stay consistent in your homework, if you stay consistent in your studies, if you stay consistent in attending class, eventually you will see the reward of that compounded consistency in a diploma or in an A or in a job or whatever. The idea is that if you stay consistent, you will reap the reward. Staying consistent is not always easy in weight loss. I used to be a weight loss consultant. People would come in so excited to lose weight, and they would stay consistent for week 1 and week 2, and they would see this drop, but then they'd hit this plateau, and it would be really, really difficult to stay consistent during that plateau. And there was two people. There was the people that stayed consistent, made the right choices, stuck with their plans, and then they saw the compounded interest. There's also other people that didn't stay the course, and then they didn't get to see that consistency compound. So it's not an easy thing, especially when you don't see a reward, like the plateau where you're not seeing the reward, where you're not being rewarded for that. It's really tough. In relationships, it's a little bit more tough to see the reward just because the way that they are. But it's still compound. So an example would be like with my husband, our relationship from the beginning till now, we have been consistent at getting to know each other, consistent at learning from each other, learning and growing as a couple. So our relationship looks different from the beginning to the end. The way we communicate is much more different than it was at the beginning. So I'm able to now look back and see, oh, there has been compounded consistency here. We are not the same in communication. We are not the same in the way we take on troubles. We are not the same way as we come together as a team and lead our family. It's very different now than it was at the beginning. But I have to be able to look back and see that compound. You don't get no gold star or you don't get any diploma for being married for a while. You have to look back and see that compounded interest. So the same way with our devotional life, we don't get a gold star every time we do our devotions. We don't get a pat on the back for being consistent. However, staying consistent will still compound over time, just like a relationship with your husband or anybody. The way you communicate, the way you would worship, the way you would pray looks different. The way you take on the world when disaster hits, the way that you approach conflict, all looks different if you stay consistent with your devotions. But again, you have to look back to see that consistency. Where were you and where are you now? You can usually see that compounded consistency. So if maybe you are struggling of like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing every day and I'm not seeing anything happen, anything change, I'm going to encourage you guys to look back and see, where were you? What in your life looks different than it does now? And I think you'll see that God's probably moved quite a bit. I'm also going to go into, let me see how much time I have. I just want to give 3 things that I know. Oh, I just saw that somebody posted. That's funny. Hi, Kenny. So 3 things that have helped me stay consistent in my life with my devotions and with just actually a lot of things. But I'm going to give those examples because it is hard to stay consistent, y'all. I'm just going to say it's not easy. So one thing that helps me, especially with my devotions, is to know my why. I'm going to say the more whys you have of why you're doing something, the easier it's going to be to stay consistent. If you just have one measly reason why you're getting up and doing your devotions, like, it's probably not going to stick. Like, why are you doing it? For me, some of them are, I feel like God gives me peace when I do my devotions. I feel like my currency right now is time. So I feel like one of the most honorable ways I can worship Jesus right now is with my time, by setting aside time with him. They don't all have to be spiritual. A huge one of my reasons of why I do my devotions is because I get a warm cup of coffee, peace and quiet, and a warm blanket before I start my day. And honestly, that's probably what gets me out of bed most often. So know your why. It'll be easier to stay consistent. Another thing that helps me with consistency is doing what works. You guys, if you are trying to stay consistent of a lunchtime devotional, but you never get lunchtime, you're not going to stay consistent. It's going to be really hard if it doesn't work. If you want to do your devotions at 7 a.m., but your kid wakes up at 7:05, it's going to be really hard to stay consistent if it's not working. Figure out what works for you. That's going to look different for everybody. So find out what works for you guys. What can you do? What can you stay consistent at now? Do that for a while. Be consistent at that, and then you can add in more things if you want. The last little tip is limit your options. So this one is like a little bit different for kind of around this subject, but it still applies. For me, my morning time just in general limits my options. I have not gone to work. I don't have a lot of things on my mind when I first wake up. Nobody else is up that needs my attention. I am just limited to my Bible, my cup of coffee, and my pen. That's what limits me. If you do them at night, an idea would be if you're in bed, like, don't put a whole stack of books on the bedstand that you could grab. Just put your Bible. Keep your Bible there. Limit your options of what you can look at. If you're doing them on your phone, maybe like turn off your apps for a while you're doing your devotion so you're not distracted. I know one thing that I've been struggling with since we've been doing it on Facebook is when I get on to see what I'm reading, I will get distracted with Facebook. And so I've had to take a screenshot of my reading plan, so I'm not getting on Facebook, getting distracted, and then I have no options left. Or then my option of doing devotions is gone because of my other options. So limit your options is another thing that helps me. So these are great. Oftentimes, I'm going to say it's still hard even with these things. I know for myself, I am walking right now through a season where my consistency was sucking. I had to realize, like, Andrea, you are not being consistent right now. Like, what's going on? And so then when I notice I'm struggling with consistency, I'll go back to these 3 things. Is my why still relevant? Yes, my why is still relevant right now. My options, do I have a lot of options? No, I feel like I'm keeping my options still pretty limited. But is what I'm doing working? No, what I'm doing is not working for me right now. I'm in school right now. I'm staying up late for homework, which means it's really hard to wake up in the morning. So that routine right now is really hard for me to be consistent at. So I've had to adjust and shift so that I can stay consistent with Jesus, because that's important to me. So for you, if you are, maybe you're doing great at consistency right now, keep it up. Do what works for you. If you are maybe you have been consistent, but right now you find yourself struggling and you're not really sure why, maybe visit those 3 things. What's your why? What are your options? Do you have too many options of things to do? And is what you're doing working for you? So those have helped me. I hope that if you are pursuing this consistency, you're going to see the compounded interest of it. You're going to see God move in crazy ways. Yeah, so look back and see how God is compounding your consistency. All right, you guys have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye.